Hello humans, Master DinnerFlax here, bringing you the low quality content you deserve, and today I'll be showing off a Lunalight fusion version because I know a lot of people really like the fusions, and as of right now, I think the fusion stuff is probably better until we get Wise Tricks, but even if it's not, it's still really powerful. The fusions themselves, as long as you can make them, they literally just are it's almost impossible to play against them. Sky Striker have no natural out to Leo Dancer, meaning they have to go into either an Ngirsu or Boral Sword, which is insane. Like, they have 2 outs in the entirety of their 70 cards. So it's things like that, and in general, like, the fusion, it's a lot more aggressive, and it's one of the few decks that's actually pretty fine going second. But one of the problems I didn't like about the fusion version very much is it was really bad going first, unless you put a lot of Garnets in your deck, like for the Azathoth package or the Dawn Dragster package. And even when you went first and you planned to go first, you could never really put up enough disruptions unless you put on Azathoth. But if you put on Azathoth, you had to either play a lot of Garnets in the main, and like they just didn't have synergy with anything. So there was a lot of bricking that was going on. So what I decided instead is I'll go second, but I'll put in a toolbox in my deck so I don't just get grinded out or comboed out of the game. So let's get into it. For the scales, 3 Tiger, obviously, and 2 Wolf. You only really need 1. Like, you can only realistically use 1. However, with 2, it means you can use this as a discard outlet and you'll never lose it. It also is a scale. You can only Pendulum Summon Lunalights, but that's fine because the rest of the deck is just hand traps. But in general, like, this is just fine. Fusion summoning, like, just fusion summoning for free is what makes this so important. That you're just comboing off, and if they either, like, break your board or they've grinded you out of you trying to break their board, then you activate Wolf, just banish all those materials, and just make a giant fusion that they just can't have enough resources to out. Which is the plan. You just keep throwing a bunch of stuff. You just keep throwing a bunch of stuff at them, like Dharma Dolls, Tiger King, Direwolves, yeah, Nightmares if you have them. I'll explain the Nightmares later. But you just throw a bunch of stuff at them until they run out of stuff. The moment they do, you just activate Wolf and just kill them. That's the plan. And then 3 Kaleido Chick, super important. 2 Yellow Martin, and the combo and fusion version, you actually get to use its search effect super well. It's pretty insane. It's just super good. Like, this card is what it's like, this is the reason why I'm even building Lunalight decks, playing Lunalight decks, buying Lunalight cards for an actual deck. Like, it's the only reason any of that's happening. The things that this enables now is already really cool, but the things it'll enable later are really insane. And then 2 Emerald Bird. You just need more names, but in general, this is a nice fusion material, and more importantly, since you're playing 2 of it, now you can much more reliably get its discard effect. And if you discard Yellow Martin, not only do you get a draw, but you get a search, which is nice. And then Crimson Fox, this one's, I guess, odd. No one really plays this one. If it's sent to the graveyard by a card effect, just like Yellow Martin and Emerald Bird, it has an effect, but it's really mediocre. It just targets a face-up monster your opponent controls and makes it 0 attack. Which I was thinking about it, which could, in theory, work with Dragon to 0. I thought about that a few times. Never tried it yet. But, in general, it seems really weak. However, in the graveyard is the effect I'm actually after. So against Sky Striker, they have to keep you from having monsters in order for them to not get Leo Dancered and die. Like, I'm not even joking. They have to Their plan against Leo Dancer is not to out the Leo Dancer, it's to prevent the Leo Dancer. So they'll end up trying to Widow Anchor your materials. Like if you have enough, like the only ones they can take anyways are ones that don't have their effects negated. So they'll try to take those just to keep it from happening. And if they keep it from happening, they can probably just win. But if you have Crimson Fox in grave, it has an effect where your opponent activates a card effect that targets a Lunalight monster you control. You can banish it from your graveyard, negate the activation, and then both players gain 1,000. Their 1,000 doesn't matter. I mean, I guess either player's 1,000 doesn't matter. It just negates their Widow Anchor, so that no matter what, you get to fuse, and no matter what, they get to die, which is really cool. So then we got one blue cat. Its special summon utility is really powerful in the fusion version because you can make Leo Dancer 7,000 and it's game over. It's literally you can just make an unwinnable game state. Or I say unwinnable game state like a combo, but realistically your opponent just has like, you do like some ridiculous amount of damage. And Purple Butterfly. This one's, I guess, also a little weird. I guess it's not that weird, because you can send it from your deck to your graveyard with Lunalight Fusion or Kaleido Chick, and it's just a Stygian Street Patrol. It has another boost effect, which is okay, but yeah, even if you have it in hand, you always just want to discard it for Emerald Bird or discard it for one of your spells or traps. Like, you'll almost never use the boost effect, and unless you just randomly have had it the whole time. And for the hand traps, because it is a going second deck, triple Ash Blossom, triple Gamma. Gamma over Called by the Grave, because this going second and Called by the Grave is most powerful when you're going first. And since we're not going first, it's not as powerful. It's just not very powerful when you're going second. But Gamma, you can use it to stop their hand traps, like you activate Tinky and they Ash, or you activate Tinky and they negate with one of their stun monsters, you just Gamma them. That's the plan anyways. There's no Omega in the extra deck either, because there's just no room, but you could probably find room for something. You can't even do really anything with it, except make like a Nightmare. 3 Tinky, because Tiger King, obviously you would play this regardless. But I also got 2 more fire formations. Gyoko, which Gyoko is a it's kind of like a Night Beam. You target a set card, your set spell or trap your opponent controls. It can't be activated, and they can't activate it in response. So this is kind of like a 4th Twin Twisters in the main. Not really, but it's nice because if you just set their thing if you just hit their thing face down, it stays there forever. You don't need to use any removal on it, and it also prevents them from just evenly matching you. They gotta like set their evenly matched, and then wait for your battle phase. But if they're doing that, they've already lost. So that's really cool. But Tiger King is probably the most important. Like, it's an engine requirement. It's like I've went plenty of games where I could have made 3 and used all 3 in one turn. Like, Tiger King is insane for this deck. And because you make it so often, and sometimes you need to make it so often because Thunder Dragons, you have to make it before you do anything else. So Tiger King is like really important in that way. And if you're using Tiger King multiple times, which against some decks you will need to per turn, you want to be setting. You don't just want to set Tinky, especially if you already activated a Tinky beforehand. So I wanted a small toolbox to complement how many times I was making Tiger King. So Gyoko is one of them. Just hitting set spells or traps is nice, and locking them down so they can't evenly match you is important. But Yoko is another one I found. This could probably just be another Gyoko, but what Yoko does is you activate it, you target a face-up card your opponent controls. Discard a Beast Warrior, and if you do, the keyword is if you do, destroy it. And then all the Fire Formation spells give Beast Warriors a boost of 100. But the key word that like I wanted to try this was, and if you do. Because that means if you discard a Yellow Martin, you get a search. If you discard Emerald Bird, you get a summon. If you discard Crimson Fox, you make monster 0. Like, there are monsters in your deck that want to be sent to the graveyard by a card effect, and this just happens to send them by a card effect, while at the same time removing floodgates like Rivalry, Goes and Match, Zombie World, just stupid floodgates like that. And like, even if not, you can always just use this against a monster to just trigger your guy. Like, this card seems really good. I've only used it once, and it was okay in that scenario because I discarded, I didn't discard one of the Beast Warriors that I wanted to, but like, in general, it's just decent spot removal. It doesn't eat up your normal summon like Bear does, and Bear's awful because it only hits monsters, where this just hits floodgates. So I guess this is like a Twisters, and this is like a Night Beam for already the 3 Twin Twisters you have. So this is really cool. I want to test with them more. And then it's also another thing that Gyoko is a fire formation that only interacts with spells and traps. Well, this can also interact with monsters, so I guess that's really important. And Perfume, no explanation. Foolish Burial Goods, no explanation either. Twin Twisters, because Altergeist and Sky Striker are going to end up being the best deck with Thunder Dragons. So 2 of the 3 best decks are super back row heavy. So you just, and since they are back row heavy, it makes the combo decks kind of less potent, and it also makes them less represented. So I just decided, instead of 3 more hand traps or 3 Called by the Grave, I just go 3 Twin Twisters, just not even risk it, not lose to a Floodgate. Yeah, and then 2 Lunalight Fusion. I'm not playing Black Sheep, so I'm not playing Polymerization. This one's searchable with your deck. I guess Polymerization is too, but this one's searchable with your deck, and then has a bonus. Like, Polymerization doesn't have a bonus, but this one does, where it's a mini Shaddoll Fusion, where it can send 1 from your main deck or extra deck, which is actually really nice, for the fusion. And the only thing you're fusion summoning anyways is Lunalight, so this, it doesn't matter that it's not Polymerization. And then finally, Foolish Burial. There's several targets for this. Even if you don't, if you just have Perfume, you can like send some to revive it. And the only trap is Serenade Dance. Like I said, it's a going second version, so this is kind of important. And I'll explain the extra deck in a moment, but I want to go into the side deck. When you're going first, like, they're going to probably force you to go first. You could do Azathoth, but I've showed off Azathoth enough anyways. So what I decided to do instead is I would focus on just like putting up some monsters, and I would like put up some monsters, and then I would just set trap cards. Like, I would set Sanctum, I'd set Scolding / Judgment. Like, I would just set those cards, and like my field would be subpar. Maybe there's like a fusion, so it's kind of hard to out, but like they're going second, so they have the ability of overload. But if you like Scythe them or you Scolding them, it doesn't matter what they're doing, because you just Scolding their push, and then their turn ends because they have no way to out the fusion or whatever field you built, which I guess is fine. Azathoth is probably more powerful, but at the same time it requires more bricks, and I just wanted to show off what you could do instead if you just don't like Azathoth. So yeah, and like, it's just a regular side deck. Most of it though is meant for going first, because they're probably going to force you to go first, especially Sky Striker, because that deck naturally wants to go second anyways. And then for the extra deck, Underclock Taker, this could also be Pentastag. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It could be Pentastag too. But I like Underclock Taker better because it can be in the main monster zone and still give you that arrow to do its effect. And then we got 2 Darmadol. I'm not playing Phoenix, which is weird, but what's even more weird is I'm playing Cerberus instead, and it's mainly because of this card. You can make it with any 2 Beast Warriors or Beast or whatever. You can make it with 2 of any of your monsters, and what it does is it gives itself a boost for every like Lunalight card every Lunalight monster you control, pretty much, or like sometimes Diamond Dire Wolf and Tiger King. Like, it gives you a boost for all those. And then another thing you can do is once per turn you can target a spell and trap you control and your opponent controls, destroy them. So it's more back row removal, but it also clears off your fire formations that you don't need, like Yoko, the one I was mentioning that destroys face ups. Like, you can only use it once, so once it's done, you kind of just want to get rid of it. You can also trigger Tiger if you've used it already once or twice. You can just pop it to get another use out of it. Yeah, it's just like really solid in that. And it has another effect where if it destroys anything by battle, you can target a banished or in your graveyard Beast Warrior Beast, Winged Beast, and add it to your hand. So it's kind of a recovery option too, because it can put stuff back in your extra deck, which is really nice. Which is why I'm playing 2, because usually the second one is for if things go wrong, but the first one is usually to just like pop a back row to go into Summon Sork, because this can get you access to more things from your deck. And Cerberus, because there's already enough back row removal in the deck, but like, you want to just have some monster removal instead for this option. And then Unicorn, just anything removal. Summon Sork for I know there's a few not FTKs, OTKs with this, but it can also just resource anything you want. Like, you could even like target, you can just have like a Lunalight there, get a Wolf out of your deck, and then bounce with Martin. You can do just all kinds of cool things with this. Boral Load for Thunder Dragons and Boral Sword. It does feel like redundancy in here, but at the same time, I'd just be really nervous if they could, like, if they get rid of your Wolf before you get to Fusion Summon. You sometimes just do need to kill them. And like, if your Wolf gets stopped, if your Lunalight Fusion gets ashed or whatever, you still have the option to OTK them. It's pretty much, it's not there for the OTK, it's there for if your fusions just don't work, like if they have Ash Blossom or back row removal for Wolf. If things go wrong, you still got him to just end the duel. And then double Tiger King, like I was mentioning, you could honestly play 3 and use all 3 in some turns. Like, this card's insane. It's not even the fact that it says fire formations. That part's like neat. It's a consistency booster, and it's also a toolbox. But the main thing that just makes this card insane is that it's also a skill drain. So, oh, my opponent has triple Colossus or double Colossus Titan. Just like, it's crazy. Because since we're not playing Called by the Grave, we'll need the Twin Twisters for the chain block. But like, or sometimes what you can do is you leave Serenade Dance in your grave. So when you summon Tiger, activate effect, they chain a Thunder Dragon in hand. You can chain Serenade Dance to chain block. You can do a lot of chain blocking in this deck, but ultimately, even if you don't get to, you can just make the second Tiger King. But anyways, that's besides the point. They have this Thunder Dragon field. You just wipe all their effects clean, and then you just go on your day. And because now they can be destroyed, you just Leo Dancer them to the end of the duel. So that's really cool. And then one Diamond Dire Wolf. It synergizes with Blue Cat. It synergizes with Crimson Fox, Emerald Bird, Yellow Martin. It just has so much synergy in the deck. Which is probably why it's over Tornado Dragon, which sometimes I miss Tornado Dragon, but Diamond Dire Wolf is just a better option for them. Because not only does it get rid of back row like you want it to, but it also triggers your engine, which is insane. Yeah, it's just really good. And then for the fusions, one Cat Dancer, just in case. It's really made for, it's just an extra option. I'm playing 2 Wolves, 2 Fusions, so I have like 4 Fusion chances in total. But this is for like, you can only get 1 Lunalight on the field, and your opponent's been stunning you while you're going off. you could just go ahead and just like make this. It can't be destroyed by battle. It's okay, but it's mainly just there for fusion climbing, because you'll just send it to the grave with wolf. But if you need to fuse and you just don't have enough resources, you have that option. And the last 3 are Panther Dancer. That one's really good for OTKs too, but Leo Dancer is better, which is why there's a Leo Dancer. And then finally, Saber Dancer, because if you're in a position where you want to send from the main deck to like trigger Emerald Bird or whatnot, you can do that. But Saber Dancer also gets a boost from all your Tiger Kings and all your what's it called? It also gets a boost from all your Dharma Dolls. So like it gets really big. It goes to 48, 5,000 a lot of the time. And it's another fusion that just says, can't be targeted on my towers. So yep, that's about it. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. And if you have any suggestions, let me know, because I am most likely going to build this stack, and I really enjoy this stack. And it, as of like in 2 days of it being released, it already has a regional top, which is funny. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you all for watching. And remember, Master DinnerFlax will take your soul.